All right, here's latest news coming in from Arunachal. Indian-Chinese troops have clashed in Arunachal Pradesh. Injuries on both sides have been reported. Incident took place in Yangtze area near Tawang. Official response from the army. The MOD is awaited. In October 2021, viewers, to give you a little bit of a background, Chinese troops were detained in the same region. The latest that is coming in suggests that in certain areas along the LAC, in the Tawang sector in Arunachal Pradesh, there are areas of differing perception wherein both sides patrol the area up to their claim lines. This has been the case since 2006. On 9th December 2022, PLA troops contacted the LAC and Tawang sector, which was contested by our troops in a firm and resolute manner. The face-off led to minor injuries, few personnel being hurt from both sides. Injuries have been reported from both sides. Both sides immediately disengaged from the area as a follow-up on the incident. Indian commander in the area has held a flag meeting with his counterpart to discuss the issue in accordance with structured mechanism to restore peace and tranquility. That is the latest, viewers, that we are getting in. It's seemingly a latest clash along the LAC in Arunachal Pradesh, practically the same area where both the Indian and Chinese troops clashed earlier. This time around, the clash has taken place in Yangtze area of Tawang in Arunachal. Injuries reported from both sides. The date of incident is 9th December 2022. Both sides since immediately disengaged. Flag meeting was also held by the Indian commander with his Chinese counterpart to come up with a structured mechanism to restore peace and tranquility. But what we can report and confirm is that there have been clashes where the Chinese and Indian troops are concerned along the LAC in Arunachal. Injuries, yes, have been reported on either sides. I want to immediately cut across to our defense reporter Abhishek Bhalla, who's joining us for the latest details coming in. Abhishek, would you give us the details of the clashes that took place on the 9th of December?
Yes, Preeti, this incident has taken place in the Yangtze region of Arunachal Pradesh, which is close to Tawang. It took place on the 9th of December. What I have heard from sources is that there have been clashes on both the sides, there have been injuries on both the sides when this clash took place. What really led to this clash is still not clear. But what sources have said is that once there was a face-off and a clash, the troops soon disengaged, and since then things have been calm. But there has been a build-up in the Arunachal region as well over the last 1.5 years. There are certain areas where the Chinese have been extremely aggressive in their maneuvering, in their patrolling. In fact, in October 2021, in the same region, there were certain Chinese troops who the Indian soldiers had detained on the pretext of crossing the line of actual control and being in an area which India was saying has been held by them and it's their territory. So it seems that this is the same region where this clash has taken place. Of course, in time to come, more details will emerge of what exactly led to this clash. But what we can confirm to our viewers is that there was, in fact, an ugly face-off clash where there were injuries on both the sides. There is no clear word on what kind of injuries are there and what sort of a clash had taken place. Those details are also yet to come out.
We don't know the nature of injuries, but what we can confirm that injuries have been sustained by both sides. Abhishek, it's the same area as you're pointing out where clashes had taken place earlier as well. Now, what is the main, line of contention in this particular area? Is it that both sides claim it?
That's precisely what the problem is with most of the areas as far as the LAC is concerned, Preeti, because there are differing perceptions of the LAC. It's not been drawn out on a map. Maps have not been exchanged. The Chinese have been extremely adamant to in fact exchange maps since decades. And this is what creates confusion every time there is a face-off. Similar things have happened in Ladakh since 2020. But after the clashes in Ladakh, first in Galwan and then later at the mountain peaks of the Kailash range, there hadn't been any clash. So this definitely, is something which is considered, as something that has crossed the threshold. Because whenever there are face-offs, troops soon disengage. But if they come to blows, that means things had really gone out of hand. And in this instance, it seems that it was one of those cases where things had turned extremely ugly.
Abhishek, I'm going to ask you one quick question before I let you go, because things have reached a boil. How does this now impact on the ongoing relationship with China, which has been rather uneasy in the recent past?
Well, there's been a build-up all across the LAC, Preeti. It's not just Ladakh. Of course, Ladakh has been in news since May 2020, and there has been a heightened deployment in those heights. This will be the third consecutive winter where both sides will have an enhanced deployment of 50,000 troops. But I have been to forward locations in Arunachal, in Sikkim, and very recently, in fact, I was in Uttarakhand as well, which has the border with Tibet, which is under control of the Chinese. And there has been an enhanced deployment by the Indian side, even in Uttarakhand. So all sectors, be it the middle sector, which is Uttarakhand and Himachal, or the eastern sector, which consists of Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim, or the western sector, which is Ladakh, which of course has been extremely volatile over the last almost 2 years now, 2.5 years now. There has been a heightened state of alertness all across the line of actual control.
Abhishek, could this reflect on what has gone down right now in Arunachal Pradesh? Could it impact what has been happening in Ladakh as well? Could there be a spin-off?
Well, it certainly has a bearing on the larger relations between India and China. And ever since Ladakh, or in fact, even predating Ladakh, even Doklam, there is mutual distrust between the two sides. It's not just the militaries that are, not trusting each other. It's also rubbed on to the diplomacy and to the political leadership. In the past, yes, there were military standoffs, but there were diplomatic and political ways to find a solution to those. But since Ladakh, things have been extremely rocky. The relationship hasn't been what it ought to have been, considering that in India and China, had a good relationship as far as trade or other aspects were concerned. Yes, there were military problems every now and then, but this time, over the last 2.5 years, the military tussle in Ladakh has certainly had a huge bearing on India-China relations, which has resulted in a massive trust deficit between the two sides, as a result of which there is no resolution in Ladakh, and things are also quite volatile in other sectors.